Close your eyes for a moment. Picture New Orleans, 1919. Streets lined with wooden houses, the faint glow of gas lamps swaying in the fog. Jazz music floats through open windows, laughter echoes from bars, and the city seems alive. But somewhere, in the shadows of this vibrant city, a figure moves silently. He carries no gun, no poison, only an axe. Families lock doors, whisper prayers, but it does not matter. He chooses who lives and who dies, and tonight, that choice will be felt in every trembling heartbeat. This is the true horror of the Axeman of New Orleans. Even decades later, the Axeman's story haunts New Orleans. Tour guides whisper about him to tourists. Locals still feel chills when old jazz records play too eerily in quiet streets. Some say that on certain nights, when the moon is full and the wind is still, the faint sound of footsteps and the scrape of an axe can be heard in old neighborhoods. The Axeman became more than a man. He became a symbol of fear, unpredictability, and the dark side of human fascination with terror. Then, as suddenly as he had appeared, the Axeman vanished. For weeks, there were no attacks, no notes, no letters. Residents hoped he had died or moved on, but some never stopped believing he lingered nearby, a phantom observing them from the shadows. People claimed to still hear axe scratches in empty rooms, faint footsteps in the corridors, and whispers carried by the night wind. The city could not forget, and the story of his wrath became legend. By now, New Orleans was paralyzed with dread. Families double-locked doors, neighbors kept vigil for each other, and the city's once vibrant streets were silent after dark. The constant threat of the Axeman made normal life impossible. Children slept with nightmares, and adults rarely closed their eyes. Even the police admitted that nothing could predict his next move. He struck seemingly at random. Every night brought suspense. Every creak or whisper could be the signal of impending death. Weeks passed, and the city dared to breathe again. But the terror never truly left. One by one, the murders continued, each more brutal than the last. Entire families were wiped out in the dead of night. The police were powerless, often arriving only to find the aftermath. Footprints vanished in the fog, doors were left ajar, and the haunting echo of an axe striking would linger in empty streets. Citizens realized that the Axeman wasn't just a man. He was the embodiment of fear itself. That night, New Orleans transformed. Bars and homes alike blasted jazz music through open windows. Trumpets, pianos, and clarinets echoed across streets and alleys. The joyous music became a desperate prayer. Streets that were once lively were now filled with anxious faces, everyone hoping the sound would keep death at bay. No one dared to step outside alone, yet everyone participated in this citywide ritual, playing their way through terror, praying to survive until dawn. Then came the letter, printed in the city's newspaper. Written in a mocking, almost theatrical tone, the Axeman taunted the police, declaring his ability to strike whenever he chose. But he gave one condition. On the night he planned to kill, any home playing jazz music would be spared. The city reacted in shock, some laughing nervously, others shivering in disbelief. People suddenly realized their only hope was to fill every home with music, hoping it would ward off the axe-wielding shadow. The Axeman never stole money, jewels, or valuables. Gold remained untouched on mantles. Silver glittered on tables. He came only for one thing: lives. Some investigators concluded he was insane. Others whispered he was something far darker, an entity feeding on fear itself. People speculated endlessly. Was he a demon, a psychopath, or a man who found pure pleasure in controlling life and death from the shadows? Every unexplained murder heightened the city's terror, and every unanswered question gnawed at the residents' sanity. Fear spread like wildfire. Parents kept children awake through the night, clutching knives and candles. Families huddled together, whispering prayers while the wind howled outside. Some claimed to hear footsteps pacing outside windows. Others swore they saw shadows lurking near corners, vanishing as soon as they approached. The axeman's unpredictability was even more terrifying than his violence. Nobody could tell when he would strike or whose home would be next. The city became paralyzed with dread, each night stretching endlessly as people waited for the unknown. The attacks began quietly but with sudden violence. Families asleep in their beds were awakened only by the crashing of doors, the shattering of locks, and the horrifying sound of an axe swinging through the air. Blood spattered the walls and floors. The weapon was always the same, often the family's own axe, taken from the home itself. Victims never saw him coming. Neighbors reported seeing fleeting shadows, shapes that disappeared before anyone could get a proper look. New Orleans in the early 20th century was a city of music, laughter, and endless nights. Horse-drawn carriages rolled over cobblestones, street performers danced under lantern light, and jazz filled the air. Yet beneath this lively facade, the city was fragile. Wooden houses with thin doors, narrow streets shrouded in fog, and alleyways that twisted unpredictably. Perfect conditions for a shadow to move unseen. Residents whispered about strange sounds at night. Creaking floors, distant footsteps. Imagine a remote village in the heart of Derbyshire, England. Mist curls around ancient oak trees, and the stone cottages seem to huddle against the cold. At the center stands the vicarage, its tall spires and darkened windows exuding an aura of age-old secrets. Locals speak in hushed tones of strange sounds at night, footsteps echoing in empty halls, whispers that float through the fog, and doors that slam by themselves. Tonight, we enter this eerie house and uncover the chilling story that has haunted the village for generations. The vicarage, built over 2 centuries ago, stood isolated at the edge of the village. Its walls were thick with moss and ivy, windows cracked from years of neglect. By day, it seemed silent and solemn. By night, it became a place of dread. Villagers claimed that anyone who entered after dark felt a chill that couldn't be explained. The floors creaked even when no one walked upon them. Candles flickered in empty rooms, casting moving shadows that seemed alive. Some said it was the restless spirit of a former vicar who had never left. Others feared something far darker. The first signs of haunting were subtle. At first, visitors reported doors slamming without wind, drawers opening and closing on their own, and soft whispers that seemed to echo from the walls. But soon, the noises grew louder. Footsteps pacing the corridors at night, knocks on the walls that no one could explain, and low groans that made the spine tingle. Some villagers swore they had seen the faint outline of a figure vanish in the darkness. Even the bravest of guests felt fear creeping up their necks, and the vicarage gained a reputation that kept most away after sunset. Families in the village avoided the vicarage. Any children playing nearby claimed to hear voices calling their names from the empty house. Local women walking home alone hurried past, glancing nervously at the towering building. Even the priests avoided staying there overnight. Those who dared spend a night reported a feeling of being watched, sudden chills, and the sensation of unseen hands brushing past them. The fear was pervasive, lingering in the very air around the house. As the hauntings grew stronger, physical evidence appeared. Chairs were found overturned in the middle of rooms, candles extinguished without reason, and personal belongings shifted from their places. Visitors reported seeing objects float or move slightly before settling back. One story tells of a candle slowly rolling across the floor, as if guided by an invisible hand. The vicarage seemed alive with malevolent intent, every object a potential messenger of the unseen. Then came sightings. Shadows shaped like human figures appeared in hallways and rooms. Some visitors glimpsed pale faces staring from windows, vanishing when approached. Others saw cloaked forms drifting silently from room to room. These apparitions were not static. They moved, watched, and seemed to interact with the living. Many believed the vicarage was haunted by former clergy, punished souls, or a dark presence bound to the house. As darkness fell, the vicarage seemed to breathe with its own life. Visitors reported hearing doors slam repeatedly, footsteps pacing endlessly in empty corridors, and low whispers that seemed to crawl along the walls. Some claimed objects would levitate momentarily before crashing to the floor. Even the bravest felt a growing sense of dread, as though unseen eyes followed every move. It was a nightmarish symphony of fear, and no one dared linger after sunset. Whispers in the night were more than random sounds. Visitors claimed to hear names spoken, sometimes in urgent, pleading tones, other times in mocking laughter. A diary belonging to a previous vicar reportedly contained notes that appeared overnight, words written in ink that vanished by morning. The living began to feel the presence of the past, as if souls trapped in the house were attempting to communicate, or perhaps warn, the newcomers. Stories of the vicarage spread through the village like wildfire. Neighbors spoke in hushed tones about the screams heard at night, the unexplained cold spots, and ghostly apparitions. Travelers avoided the area, and even law enforcement admitted feeling unsettled when entering. Fear became intertwined with everyday life. The vicarage was no longer just a building. It was a living symbol of dread, a place where the past and the supernatural converged. Some visitors swore the house was sentient. Chairs would shift when no one was near, doors would close behind them, and cold drafts seemed to follow them from room to room. A faint, invisible pressure seemed to bear down on anyone inside. Many reported feeling watched constantly, their every movement scrutinized by an unseen force. The vicarage had become more than haunted. It had become alive with its own malevolent will. Even today, the vicarage holds its secrets. Visitors who dare enter speak of the chill that penetrates the soul, the creaking floors that never tire, and whispers that refuse to fade. Some claim that on stormy nights, the house relives the past, revealing echoes of tragedies long gone. The haunted vicarage of Derbyshire is more than a story. It is a testament to fear itself, a dark legend that continues to haunt the imagination of those who hear it. Deep in the heart of Norfolk, England, stands Raynham Hall, a stately home cloaked in centuries of history and whispered secrets. By day, it is majestic and serene, its grand halls echoing with the footsteps of long-gone nobles. But by night, the halls awaken with an eerie presence. Shadows move without cause, doors creak open by themselves, and a figure dressed in brown drifts silently through the rooms. Locals speak in hushed tones of a lady who never truly left, a ghostly presence that has haunted Raynham Hall for generations. Tonight, we uncover the chilling tale of the Brown Lady. Raynham Hall, built in the 17th century, was home to the Townsend family. Its walls have witnessed grandeur, scandal, and tragedy. The Brown Lady is said to be the spirit of Lady Dorothy Walpole, whose life ended under mysterious and sorrowful circumstances. From the moment she passed, strange occurrences began. Cold drafts, whispers in empty halls, and objects moving inexplicably. The house, rich with history, became entwined with the supernatural, each room hiding stories of grief and unrest. The earliest reported sightings of the Brown Lady were chilling. Servants claimed to see her wandering the halls in her brown gown, her face pale and expressionless. Doors would creak open as she passed, and some claimed to hear her soft sighs echoing through the empty corridors. Those who saw her felt an inexplicable dread, a sensation that something from the past was reaching out to the present. The brown lady seemed tethered to the house, forever roaming, forever observing. In 1936, photographers Captain Hubert C. Provand and Andershira were sent to Raynham Hall to document the house. During one session, they captured what would become the most famous ghost photograph in history. In the picture, a semi-transparent figure of a woman in brown descends the staircase, her face partially visible, her presence unmistakable. The photo stunned the world, confirming what villagers and staff had long feared. The brown lady was real, and her haunting was undeniable. Servants continued to share terrifying accounts. Footsteps echoed in empty rooms, doors opened and closed without explanation, and cold spots made certain hallways unbearable. Some claimed to see the brown lady floating silently at the top of the stairs, her brown gown brushing the floor as if she had no weight. Fear became a constant companion for those working at Raynham Hall, and many refused night shifts, unwilling to confront the spectral presence. As word spread, Raynham Hall became infamous. Visitors and paranormal investigators traveled from across the country to witness the brown lady. Each new report added layers to the legend. Objects moved, strange whispers, and sightings always in the same areas, the staircases and upper corridors. The story of Lady Dorothy's restless spirit became a central part of the estate's identity, a tale of sorrow, unrest, and lingering attachment to the world of the living. Even when empty, Raynham Hall seemed alive. Visitors reported faint footsteps echoing across long corridors, the soft rustle of a gown where no one stood, and sudden cold drafts that left chills running down their spines. Objects would shift, candles flickered wildly, and the soft sighs of a woman seemed to drift from room to room. The air was heavy with tension, as though the house itself was aware of every movement, every breath of its occupants. Several guests staying overnight at the hall reported terrifying experiences. One described waking to see a semi-transparent figure standing at the foot of the bed, her brown gown trailing on the floor. Another spoke of hearing soft crying in an empty sitting room, feeling an unseen presence brushing past. The brown lady never spoke, never threatened, yet her presence instilled pure dread. Every encounter reinforced the legend and confirmed that Lady Dorothy's spirit was tethered to the hall, wandering eternally. Skeptics tried to rationalize the sightings. Some said it was fog, reflections, or tricks of light. Others claimed it was collective imagination fueled by the hall's dark history. Yet, repeated photographic evidence and consistent eyewitness accounts made disbelief difficult. The haunting seemed tied to Lady Dorothy herself, a spirit bound by sorrow, regret, and perhaps injustice, wandering the halls she once walked in life. The staircase became the most infamous spot in the hall. Every reported appearance of the brown lady occurred here, descending slowly as if moving through time itself. Guests described the sensation of her passing through walls, her presence so real it was almost tangible. The combination of photography and first-hand accounts turned this staircase into a symbol of the supernatural, a place where history, grief, and the unknown converged. Even today, Raynham Hall holds its secrets. Visitors report a lingering chill, the sensation of being watched, and faint glimpses of the brown lady in the corridors. Her presence has transcended mere stories, becoming a symbol of lingering grief and the thin veil between life and death. The legend continues to captivate paranormal enthusiasts, historians, and thrill-seekers alike. The brown lady is not merely a ghost. She is an enduring reminder of the mysteries that dwell just beyond the reach of the living.